an economy that was in crisis. But he doesn't like to remind us that he also inherited a Democrat Congress.
Yeah, politics. Well, I've only been working here for a couple hours. I had a few things to do. And in case you notice the roar, it's because I'm taking after pisser. My waste oil furnace ain't running that great. I don't know why. It was barely getting hot. So I plugged in this. Wow, what happened to my flame? Oh, my bottle's getting frozen. There we go. I'm going to turn this baby off because I'm done for today. It's 6 o'clock, and this is pretty fancy when it turns on automatically. It has a thermostat, has a sparker. It's pretty cool. But I'm quitting early. It's just after 6 o'clock, and I have a religious service to go to for a distant, not really a family friend, some people that I know that go to the same temple as us. Their 28-year-old daughter, just married, died of long-term cancer. Everybody always knew about it, but it wasn't something you talked about. And she was a good-looking girl and excelled in school and career, just got married, and a year and a half later, she's dead. So, sad day, kind of shocking to hear her having passed, but on to less gruesome news about people dying young.
He says no. Build a pipeline. He says no. We need a president who says yes to the American people.
Here is the old gas pedal that sometimes would cause the service throttle soon light to come on. And every so often, once every couple of weeks, the truck would die or you'd have no response from the throttle. So turn it off, start it up, it'd be fine for a couple of weeks or so. So I took this one, as you saw in a couple of videos ago, I took this one out of the 94 Suburban with the nearly blown engine. I'm going to bolt it in. It's real simple. 3 bolts, 1 plug. I'm also working on putting in the wire for my 4-wheel drive actuator. And I found something good on the internet. Thank goodness for the internet. The GM diagram and the paper that came with and the Made in China harness that I bought says to attach this under the vehicle on the transmission, transfer case, wiring harness, and I'm not good at 12-volt electrics. So I went on the internet and I just kept typing in, and I found a fellow who put one of these newfangled, that's the old thermal, put one of these newfangled actuators in a 94 Blazer full size, and mine's a 95, and even though it's relatively clear, it's not totally clear. There's that spacer in the GM bag, there's the wiring harness with the brown wire, but not totally clear. Unplug this one on the right. Yeah, it's easy. There's the old one. Here's the shifter. And I took off the 4 screws that hold this in place, and the knob, I think, is attached permanently to the shaft. So what I did was I took off the cotter pin that holds the pin that locates this into the bracket that twists through the floor. And I thought I could just back the pin out and take this shaft out of the way and get rid of this plastic console gizmo. But the pin hits the housing. It goes back almost far enough to get it out. And maybe if I cut that, but then I'd shower the interior with sparks, and then this is in the way, so I can't do anything about it. So I'm not taking bolts out, I'll just leave that pin in place. What I did was I replaced the factory cotter pin, which was just here a second ago. I replaced the cotter pin with a Made in China hitch pin or hairpin clip. I don't know why, but I did. I got lots of them. Cheap Made in China junk. So I also noticed that the light bulb here was burned out. That's the light bulb that goes on when you turn on the dash lights. You get a little light bulb down there. So this is the light bulb that turns on when you put it in 4-wheel drive, and what it does is it gets a signal from the transfer case that you're in 4-wheel drive, and that lights up. So this is what this brown wire they're talking about must do. But, nothing's ever so simple, huh? You read something, you think, oh, no problem, I'll just get right to it. Well, never so simple. Where's the brown wire? There's 2 wires here, and one's kind of sort of, I don't know, brownish with a white stripe, and one looks like black and it's smaller, but this one here looks like it has a light brown wire. But this is the dash lights. It's definitely not that one. See? So it's got to be this one. There's a brown wire with a white stripe, but it's barely brown, but that must be the one. So this fellow here that wrote this nice description on how he updated his 94 full-size Blazer, and the website was Get Diesel Power. getdieselpower.com/cars/actuator_upgrade, blah, 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 blah. 4x4 actuator upgrade. Get Diesel Power. I'll do a screenshot for you. Hang on. Right, you can pause the video and look at that picture and get the website, Get Diesel Power. I'm going to post this on YouTube and I'm going to put the proper tag words in. But what I'm trying to get to here is, it says to splice into this wiring harness, which, yeah, it's a piece of cake. It shows here on the next page. There's that plastic gizmo. And it shows where he spliced in the brown wire to light up the actuator from a signal from the transfer case. But it says, here's a shot from under the 4x4 floor shifter showing somewhat where the wire goes through. You can see it tucked under the connector with the brown wire coming out the end. So what he's saying is he went underneath, and this, there's the bottom of that semicircle, which is right here. I know it's hard to understand all these things when you're looking at things upside down. But I looked underneath the truck, and I don't see where taking those 4 bolts off is going to help anything, because this thing goes under the carpet and goes through a hole up there maybe. Maybe they changed it in 95. GM was doing a lot of wiring in these vehicles and making things real complicated. So what I was thinking of doing, because I don't want to tear up the carpets, and I'll tell you something else that happened in a second when I did pull up the carpet, just to poke around. I did pull it up, and I found the wiring harness for this seems to disappear underneath the carpets, and they're too heavy to pull up without making a mess. But what I did find, this vehicle's been revealing a lot of secrets. I found this snap-on T torque socket, made in USA, T50. It's a brake caliper socket for the bolts that hold the brake caliper. I found that right there, just tucked underneath the carpet. So last time I looked underneath the seat, I found that $30 or whatever it was, and this time I found a snap-on Torx driver in really good shape, made in USA. So what I was thinking of doing, went underneath the truck, and this semi-moon here is a good place to drill, but the shift lever's there. But you don't see it underneath, it's just a big semicircle, like you see. Over here, semicircle. So I'm just trying to figure out where to drill my hole, where to be as least obtrusive as possible. And I'm thinking I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll do it right there. That's a good spot. And I think there was a grommet in the package. I shoved this thing under the truck. No, there's no grommet. I thought there was a grommet on this thing. So maybe what I'll do is I'll put some silicone around the hole. I don't have a rubber bushing to go through to protect the wire from getting chafed. But underneath the truck, and I can't get that trouble light to show you. I think the flashlight's under there. Where's my LED flashlight? The camera doesn't like this. It's funny, they're both fancy high tech, and yet the light from this is so white that it confuses the pickup lens on the camera. Let's slide underneath here. And where is it? There's the shifter semicircle. There's the rod. Like I said, this camera doesn't pick up the light too well. So I'll drill a hole through the floor in the back, right there. Nothing in the way. Look at that salt. Can you see that? All the salt and sand. This is why cars around here and trucks and anything that goes down the open road rusts away. I've got this all fluid filmed. I sure hope. Just covered in sand and salt. Go through the car wash, or you crawl underneath the garden hose. It could take you hours to clean this off properly. Inside the wiring harness, it's terrible. Terrible! I tell you, terrible. So I'm going to drill a hole through that tomorrow. I got to go to this funeral memorial service. I'm not good. I cry at these things. There's the harness I have to disconnect on the back of the axle tube. And you got to run the wire on top of the transmission and over to there. So I'll get her done. And it's getting cold in here. I got the heat turned off. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Get the gas pedal on. And turn the radio off. Put my jacket on. Turn the light off. And I got the door bungee corded open. You know what's really weird? What a dumb place to put the sticker. I saw it on my 94 as well. The transmission overdrive range, OD, should not be used for towing a trailer, carrying a heavy load, driving on steep hills, or off-road. What a wacko place to put a warning sticker not to use overdrive because the transmission tries to lock up. And too much strain and stress. The newer trucks, probably starting in the 99 2000 style, have a little button on the end there. Tow, haul, gives a firmer shift, applies more pressure. This thing just has a crappy little 3-cent sticker on the door jamb, which nobody would ever see. What a dumb place to put a sticker. Japanese would put it right there on the sun visor, molded in permanently. The Japanese with their warning stickers. One thing I do like is I got this dome lamp on off. Flimsy. Worn out. Turn the dome lights on and off. Too bad when they're on, they don't light up the interior well. That light bulb is so far recessed. It's got so many lights and they're friggin' useless. They're all dim bulbs. Wouldn't mind putting a sunroof in this thing. My buddy runs a trim shop and he says, I'll put your sunroof in, $1,500. I'm thinking, well, this thing's going to Pitcher this weekend. But wouldn't it be nice? Cut a hole in this big rusty roof. Put a sunroof in. Pitcher's going to paint the roof. If Mrs. CW pays him for his million hours that he so hardly worked. So he worked so hard on my Suburban. I was thinking to paint right down to there and put a pinstripe on the truck. One of the options on these trucks was a lower body color right to there. So we were thinking of running the dark charcoal or maybe a couple shades lighter charcoal on the fender flares, the factory fender flares, and running a stripe down here. Even though there's no damage or rust or body damage here. Just a thought, break up the dark green, because we're going to be painting down to here. So this leaves just the middle part that'll be unpainted. So that's it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get changed into my nice clothes and head off to the funeral service. Wonder what's in that box. No idea. I got so much junk. Junk.